So today we'll be talking about SaaS evolution at Adobe, and I have a lot of materials, and I realize that probably I'm gonna be either very fast or very high level to archive everything in 20-minute presentation, so that let's not lose time and proceed to the agenda. Here you may see the agenda and the topics we're going to cover today. So we will start from why we are making this transformation and progressing from PaaS platform towards SaaS, because how the second law of software architecture states why is way more important than how. That's why it's very important for you guys to understand why we consider that PaaS is not cool anymore and we need to proceed to SaaS. Then we will talk about composable commerce and what's Adobe take on evolution of composable commerce. Then I will cover SaaS services provided by Adobe and composable storefront. And then, of course, last but definitely not least, we will talk about migration. Probably this is the most interesting part, especially for merchants and developers here, how we can proceed from the vision to action, and how you may start adopting those very cool technologies already now. So let's start from the very beginning, from the early dark days of Magento or Adobe Commerce, and specifically what made this platform is so popular. And those are specifically very robust feature set and very high and extensible customization options. I would say that probably till now Magento or Adobe Commerce, and probably you already noticed that I'm using both of those names interchangeably because those are pretty much mean the same, right? So no one. So that was a joke. No one reacted. Anyways, I will try to warm you up, guys. Anyway, so yeah, so Magento, and this is definitely not a joke, that either Magento or Adobe Commerce is definitely the most customizable because it's open source platform on the market, right? And that's why so many people, I believe all of you included, love it, still love it, and use it. But along with that, you know, like having a lot of merchants using Adobe Commerce and Magento, we saw, especially for those big merchants, enterprise merchants who use the platform, and when they use it for multiple years, they kind of build up this legacy. And in software architecture, that state usually called big ball of mud, when you're just increasing, and you usually find all different excuses not to clean the garbage after yourself, right? And in the second law of thermodynamics, it's called entropy. And the entropy has a tendency of growing over time, right? Right. So that's why we're getting all those feedback from merchants. And primarily we see that when the business grows, merchants want to react quicker. And when they have a platform for quite a while, it may be very hard to to react quick. And they are slowing down, and their total cost of ownership is increasing, the maintenance increasing, and they need to do something with that, or we need to do something with that. And here you may see specifically the decision-making in process after the acquisition of the platform. And here you may see that time when the acquisition has happened, our innovation life cycle, and that was very concerning. It was very long for us. It was more than a year. We were releasing major releases of the platform quite irregularly, I would say. So it was more than a year. And our, like a vendor's goal, was to bring something to the market as soon as possible. And of course, our idea to bring something, and as soon as we brought it, to make everyone use it immediately. And with our previous, or I mean, it's still current because we have PaaS offering, but with the PaaS offering, it's very hard to achieve, right? Because here we have this monolith. And that time, I can give you even a secret, that that time we had probably like 65 to 70% of the entire engineering organization who were assigned on KTLO processes, so maintenance and support rather than on a daily innovation process. And that was not cool, because we have to be more efficient, we want to bring innovation, and we want to deliver those innovations to customers, right? So we started to think how we can decrease this innovation life cycle. And you may see that instead of one big box, there are more boxes started to appear here. So again, it's not a secret, we started to make our software more granular, more atomic, more isolated, and we started to introduce microservices, right? And those microservices are SaaS-based microservices, because again, SaaS platform enables us to be in charge for release process, for deployment process, and as soon as we brought something to the market, it immediately gets available to everyone, so that everyone can start using those innovations momentarily. Great, sounds good. So that here you may see even more boxes here, and the continuous innovation life cycle keeps decreasing. And when we will be talking about Adobe Commerce as a Cloud Service, or ACCS, so you may notice that we already ran out of 3-letter acronyms and we started to use 4-letter acronyms, which is great, which is also part of the innovation process, right? We have a lot of small boxes here and very short in innovation cycle. Great. So, but when we started to do this, we didn't start to do it like when I say to do this, I mean building the SaaS platform. We didn't start to do it from scratch. Because first of all, we wanted to avoid this replatforming, and the replatforming is a very bad thing. We don't even mention this R word when we are talking to merchants, because it's very scary. It's very spooky. We are approaching to Halloween, and that's a spooky word, but it's spooky even beyond Halloween. That's why we don't mention it. That's why we started to build on top of the legacy, right, or the platform that we have. And that's very challenging, because a lot of merchants who build composable vendors who build composable commerce platforms, they started to build composable from scratch. While in our case, we are making this transformation from PaaS monolithical platform to composable platform, which introduces a lot of challenges. And what we wanted to do, and I will fast track the slide probably. So we wanted to embrace all the pros from composable platforms, but along with that to preserve all the reasons why you guys love Magenta, and to preserve all the reasons why Magenta got so popular. Again, getting back to my first slide, it's robust extensibility and the rich feature set, right? And it will make our approach different. And to do so, we had to introduce new extensibility model, because obviously our in-process extensibility in PHP wouldn't work anymore, because we need to physically decouple the monolith, and we need to introduce microservices. So all those so-called in-process invocations should be substituted to out-of-process calls. So this is how Adobe Commerce App Builder was introduced, and Adobe Commerce App Builder is not solely used by Adobe Commerce. This platform is used across the entire Adobe DX and DME as well. So that's why we are getting way more investment, not only from the Adobe Commerce organization, but from the entire Adobe. And also here, I don't have time to deeply discuss regarding all of the items you see here, but I will just swiftly cover that Adobe App Builder is an umbrella term, and by that term usually we mean a set of tools for cloud-native development, starting from API orchestration layer, starting from serverless compute, UI framework, and even IDE plugins to own the entire end-to-end development workflow. So when we introduced this mechanism, so what we did, we started to to support events and APIs that already exist in Adobe Commerce, like our in-process APIs, our service layer, our interfaces, our entities marked with PHP API annotation, our events, and we provided the possibility to those in-process PHP events to be exposed as webhooks, as IOR events, and to be and we provided a framework to build up a separate microservice-like UI component that will extend, for example, admin panel or storefront as well, which is pretty cool, right? And moreover, we completely preserve even payloads for those events. Let's say you had service layer, PHP, I don't know, product repository save invocation, and you accepting some product interface there, and we can intercept that call, and we can get the entire payload and send this data the way it was provided in PHP exactly to a builder service. So from the data flow standpoint, it's exactly the same as it was in PHP, but right now you can create the handler not as a PHP module, but as a builder function. So as I already said, we own the entire end-to-end dev workflow. And this is how we came to this architecture. And this is, by the way, this architecture is open. You can Google it as the enterprise reference architecture of Adobe Commerce. Again, I don't have time to deeply cover it, but I will cover just two main ideas here. So first of all, you definitely see a lot of boxes here. And as I already mentioned previously, a lot of boxes is good because a lot of boxes means isolation, granularity, and atomicity, right? Right. So here, the two main objectives for this architecture. So we have, it's a headless architecture. We have the completely decoupled storefront from back office services, and we have this guy in the middle. This is glue layer or API orchestration layer, as we call it, that helps to storefront to communicate with back office services, along with that not being tightly coupled to those services, so that we can easily, for example, swap, let's say, product recommendation or storefront catalog with an external service, and storefront may not know about that at all, because storefront will be dependent on API. API consistency will be guaranteed by API mesh. So that's a headless architecture. And the second one, it's composable architecture, again, because we have a lot of boxes. Moreover, you may see that we have those composable architecture on all levels, because all levels have multiple boxes. Even the storefront is not monolithic anymore. Our storefront consists of multiple domain-specific so-called micro frontends. So this is like an idea of having microservices for frontends, and you may consider those micro frontends as small domain-specific single-page applications, like single-page application for checkout, single-page application for cart, for catalog. And I believe that most of you who, for example, work with Algolia or who work, I mean, for commerce people, it's very native concept, because we like, on a daily basis, we get different services, put them together, and usually those services come with some UI, right? Payment services, checkout, Algolia, like search, like all of them, like, or Clevo, they all provide some UI that might be embedded, might be customized within the single solution. Okay, so the next problem, so again, we have a bunch of problems need to be addressed, right? Right. One of those is integration, because in general, especially if you're talking about big enterprise merchants, if I remember correctly, the average number of integrations for average Adobe Commerce Enterprise merchant is more than 30. But I believe it's typical for any kind of commerce merchants to have more than 10 different integrations, because just consider that you need to build up integration with payments, with shipment, with some fulfillment system, with order management, with product information management, with CMS, with CRM. So there are a lot of systems need to be integrated together, and Adobe Commerce is like an orchestration layer that's supposed to orchestrate those data flows. Right, right. And one of the biggest problems that we usually see with existing merchants who built those integrations. Those integrations are built as point-to-point direct integrations, so that all of them are like specifically created with the system they're integrating with, and they're creating like by different people. That's why there is no single approach, there is no single pattern how they build those integrations, and usually they don't have enough domain knowledge. That's why supporting all those integrations independently is very, very hard, and then those, like supporting those integrations usually is one of the pain points when merchants need to upgrade the system to the latest version of the platform. So that's why we wanted to introduce a tool that will help to unify integrations. So that's some sort of integration platform or integration framework that would be built on top of App Builder. But along with that, and we will provide some code-generated predefined data flows. But along with that, so the main, again, idea to decrease total cost of ownership, to predefine data workflows, to show developers how to build up those integrations properly. But along with that, provide some room for third-party developers to finalize the integration, because we definitely anticipate that the big part of building the specific, like all of the integrations are different. Even if you're building integration with the PIM system, let's say with Akineo, you still need to introduce your tidbits of business logic on top of it, right? Right. And we call it the last mile of integration, and we expect that this integration will be created by extension developers. So our integration starter kit is not like a plug-and-play solution, but rather a framework that helps to build like 80%, like a scaffolding of the integration, and then extension developer will do the rest. Great, right? It's fascinating. So here you may see a lot of cool diagrams that we will skip, and then we'll come to the catalog. Catalog is one of the most challenging problems in commerce. I would say that there are two main problems in commerce: catalog and shopping cart, right? I hope that you agree with me. So here, one of the biggest pain points for us, or for merchants, probably I would say, I need to say for merchants, is that Magento or Adobe Commerce initial architecture was considering that catalog or treated all the merchants the same way. And because we build up the same index, the same catalog index, same category index, not considering that merchants are not created equal, right? Because some merchants need to be represented on multiple markets, other merchants have multiple brands, other merchants need to be to provide many translations, and we need to support multiple locales for those merchants. But other merchants may have dozens of millions of SKU need to be supported. And you cannot treat all those cases equally and create the same index and expect that that index will work the same for all of them. And this is how we came to this idea of the catalog service, this is the way how we started to evolve the catalog service that was released probably 3 years ago. And our catalog service, together with live search, with product recommendation, right now wrapped in a product offering which is called Adobe Commerce Optimizer. And Adobe Commerce Optimizer goes beyond that, beyond just a catalog, live search, and product recommendation. It's getting more and more. It's getting more characteristic of PXM system, which stands for Product Experience Management System, and because the entire idea is to build proper indexes and also how to direct those data flows coming from a single source or maybe multiple sources to different sales channels. And here, if you don't notice yet, one of the very cool stuff here is the data ingestion API, and as you may see on this diagram, the data ingestion API direct data flow from data source, which might be represented by PIM or ERP, directly to Adobe Commerce Optimizer, bypassing the monolith, which is very cool, which makes the catalog system to be independent, and potentially, not even potentially, we even have demos, and we have some merchants who are currently experimenting to use Adobe Commerce Optimizer on top of other commerce systems, not necessarily Adobe Commerce, which is great, right? Of course it's great, Igor. So now you see some diagrams, and here one of the most sensitive topic, right? For some reason we always have very sensitive topic about storefront in commerce, and maybe we as a company contributed a little bit to that sensitivity, but I'm really glad to share with you that new commerce storefront powered by edge delivery services right now is a great technology, and finally we achieved the unification between Adobe Experience Manager or AEM and Adobe Commerce, so that Commerce storefront right now is powered by AEM technology set, so that there is no anymore different stacks, different pipelines, different very cumbersome integration for merchants who are using AEM or Commerce, or who are considering to make a switch to Commerce. Adobe Commerce storefront right now is powered by AEM, but along with it doesn't require AEM license. And as I mentioned, the cool thing is that it's composable, so that we have a shell or a glass, and we have a bunch of micro frontends, or we call them drop-ins, and some of those drop-ins might be used independently. For example, again, we'll be covering that during the migration thing. We are not covering that during the migration thing. Looks like I ran out of slides for some reason. But anyways, the idea here that you can just embed those micro frontends into your own application, and don't matter whether you have headful or headless storefront. You may be having Luma or Hoover theme right now, no problem. You can still evolve and introduce the headless storefront. That's why we provide some of the transitional components, we call them Luma Bridge, that provide the possibility to embed a micro frontend in your headful environment, in your headful storefront, and we will transition your cookie-based session to token-based session and vice versa, so that the entire experience will be smooth. So probably the last thing that I want to mention is, can we just open one slide that was at the end of my presentation regarding the migration?
Yeah, I got to check in the back actually.
So yeah, is that it's not all or nothing. It's not a Big Bang theory, and we totally acknowledge that the migration process may take some time, and most of our merchants considering migration very seriously, and it will take a lot of time. But the entire idea that being a composable platform, we are not dictating how merchants are supposed to make this migration. Having those multiple boxes, we provide the possibility for merchant to, and this is how cool our storefront is. So migration strategy. We provide the possibility for a merchant to define the specific migration strategy. And we don't sell one SKU anymore. We don't have only commerce license. We have Adobe Commerce. We have Adobe Commerce Optimizer right now. And Adobe Commerce Optimizer unlocks a lot of functionality like EDS-powered storefront, ad builder, API mesh, and catalog. Even for merchants who are currently using open source, they can get Adobe Commerce Optimizer license, and they can proceed with those migration steps. And again, some merchants may decide to upgrade the storefront, and it might be a decision. For other merchants, for example, for whom the pain point, the catalog is pain point, they may proceed with prioritize the catalog migration first. Others may do integration. So we are enabling all of those scenarios, and this is what we really believe the truly composable platform is supposed to enable for businesses. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have questions.
Okay. Oh.
So we're building out an ACCS, ACO prototype. Thanks for your research on the front. You're working on it. But so I was told that the ACCS to ACO connector would be ready soonish, but then last week I learned that you don't expect it till next year.
Yeah, there is a slight nuance, very subtle. Currently, ACCS uses the catalog service, so-called catalog service V1, but not ACO. It will start using Adobe Commerce Optimizer somewhere in, I believe, Q1 of next year. That's why currently there is this difference, and ACCS doesn't support ACO right now, but yeah, it's going to be fixed very soon.
Okay. I hear you're with Jack Lowell.
Yep.
He said you're going to launch the PaaS to ACO first.
So Jack is part of engineering. I'm not part of engineering. That's why you should trust Jack more than to me. I'm a sales guy, actually, so I'm part of pre-sale team. That's why you need to trust him more. So yeah, he is defining the priorities, how things should be released, not me.
Is there any other questions? Yeah, sure. Go on.
So, I'm a current user of catalog and live search services on the merchant side on real technical developers like those.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider this potential implementation to be more flexible than, on-prem commerce's catalog? I've kind of found it to be a little less flexible if you want to do something like customized sorting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you say, just to clarify, when you say catalog live search, I assume that you are talking about catalog service V1. So not CCDM, right? I think that CCDM is different, and the APIs are more robust, because because part of the CCDM we delivered the new product model for the catalog service. That's why we have this kind of versioning for SaaS products, because in catalog service V1 we just completely recreated the same product model that we had in Monolith. While in CCDM we already have different product set. We're going to introduce subscription. We're going to support bundle for bundle, some of the product variations that was not supported previously, and those APIs will keep evolving. So yeah, the answer to your question is yes. And currently the engineering team led by Jack Lowell, they're actively considering how to update APIs, what exactly should be released.
Is there any plan for the new service to support the afterlayer accessing it versus using the hosted React-based front end for PLPs?
So we have for PDP for both PDP PLP we have drop-ins. Drop-ins are implemented using Preact, so which is kind of quite the same as React, and the PLP drop-in was updated very recently. If I remember correctly, it was like two weeks ago or something like that.
So my question was, will you guys continue to support API-based access to catalog services?
Absolutely, yeah. We have this idea of bring your own storefront, and that's why we are very welcoming even third-party storefront vendors to support their storefront implementation on top of our APIs, and we have some B2B merchants who use catalog punch-outs using just headless APIs of our catalog.